This goes to their community. Instead of, I mean, because let's be honest, millions of them have come here in literally the last few years. Millions of them have left their homes, went out of their way to come over here. If
Can I say
those
something?
million people had as much dedication to fixing their country, they wouldn't even be in that situation. They talk about how bad their country is. That's because they don't have any heart, love, and drive to fix it. They would rather by the millions leave just to go somewhere than actually say, hey, let's come together. If the government is corrupt, because trust me, as Black Americans, we are not unaware and we are not ignorant to corrupt governments. We've had government that literally said we were less than human beings. So we understand what a corrupt government is like. But we didn't flee. Millions and millions of us didn't say, okay, we're all going to leave the country. We said, no, we're going to change the government. This is not the way this is supposed to be. This is not the way this is going to be. So we're going to fix the problem. The problem with a lot of them is they don't care to fix their problem. They don't. They're not problem solving people. Because if they were and they had pride in where they're from, they would stay where they're from, and they would do the absolute most to fix their land. I can respect anybody who's in their home doing what they got to do in their country, doing what they got to do to fix that land, like we did. But they're escaping to flee to come over to a land and benefit off of resources and rights that our ancestors had to fight for. And then in the same time, they'll say we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and work hard like they do. So that's back.
Absolutely.
Let me get to the next caller.
Yeah,
Particular. You got it.
yeah. Just listening to you, man. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of see it a whole lot differently than that. Um, I'm 56 years old. I mean, not to get no bio or nothing of myself, but I said that to say, um, I've been around for a few years. I live here in the South. I'm from Florida, and my whole 56 years of when I come into the knowledge of being a little kid up until where I am now, immigration has been a thing in this country for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it ain't just started. Immigration is not something, as far as I can remember, and as long as I can remember, I don't ever recall immigration being a topic of discussion in the family home, in a black family home, for us about immigration hurting the black community.
Mm-hmm.
Because we looked at immigration and we looked at them in the same way we looked at ourselves. Um, and so therefore we looked at the correlation, and we basically um, put ourselves in their position. Um, this country, there's been Democratic Republicans, and I've seen Democratic presidents and Republican presidents,
Mm-hmm.
and neither one has had a real plan to do anything for the black community as a whole, for us putting us in a position where for us to say that, to give us leverage. The things that they have failed to do has nothing to do with immigration. Immigration became a problem because they told us it was a problem. And
Okay.
and that to me, they told us it was a problem, because right now when you look at the for us, when you look at the food chain here in this country, you got the Indian type people who, for us, from a financial standpoint, from the family household, you got the Indian type people, you got the Asian people, then you have the Caucasian people, and then you have the Hispanics, who are close third with the Caucasians, and we are the dead last. And what the Caucasian man has looked at and saw himself becoming minority in the country that he stole. And so therefore, even we have been, as black Americans, we've been treated as we haven't even been treated as second-rate citizens in this country. Long before immigration became a problem, we always had a problem with just trying to be on the same playing field as the Caucasian man do. Now
That's
he
cool. Now
now
let's
now he
let's
now
kind of
he
stay, because I feel like we kind of like getting off track a little bit. Let's stay. Let me ask you this question. So, do you think that mass deportation is a good thing or a bad thing for the black community?
I don't see it affecting us in no kind of way. That's why I say it. I don't see it being an issue at all.
Okay.
It's not going. What is it going to do for us? What
Okay.
is it going to do for us?
Okay. I can give you an example. I think this was in 2018 in Chicago. This was in Chicago. There was a factory. It was some type of bakery factory, like a Twinkies factory or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but in that factory, it employed a lot of undocumented workers. A lot of the workers were illegal; they were not here legally. That was a fact. ICE had raided the factory. When ICE raided the factory, they had to get rid of about 60% of their workforce. After 60% of their workforce, the factory was going to close down because y'all just lost 60% of your workers. What they did was they had a mass hiring wave, and all of those people came in were black Americans who came in to work those jobs. This is why, and the factory is still around. The factory is still around, operating well today. This is one of the things that these people come over here, and there are um, labor jobs that we work that you can have a lot of teenagers part time working or whatever the case is. You can have a lot of them working. It's a lot of jobs that they get preferential treatment when it comes to being hired for. Now, when we hear about they're taking our jobs, we keep having this thing of them being on a farm picking strawberries, but that's not it. It's a lot of factory jobs. It's a lot of construction jobs, because this also happens in construction a lot. It's a lot of housing jobs, carpenter jobs, all of these things that they hire illegal workers for because of cheap labor. These are positions that our people could be having. Okay. Now, that's either true or not true. It's either true or not true. We have multiple cases where that is true. So you can't say I'm making it up. If I'm giving you a scenario where that has happened, and there's multiple scenarios similar to that happening, you can't say I'm making it up.
Well, I'm not saying that you're making nothing up,
No,
but
I'm
the
I'm
issue,
talking in the chat room. Keep going. I'm not. Yeah.
what I'm saying is, it's an issue because, of, like you said, um, growing up, we used to go and pick oranges
Hmm.
here in Florida. When we were in high school, that was how we got our hustle money. When we wanted to go out and do something on Saturday mornings when we were out of school, we go and get on the stand out front, and the man would come around to pick up people to go to the orange, what we call the orange groves at that time.
Hmm.
And during that time, uh, immigration was, like I said again, it was rampant because every day we got on that van or the bus, it was full of immigrants on there going to do that. And then it was okay as long as they were picking oranges and apples and strawberries and stuff like that. But then it became a problem when they went down there to that federal bidder and started getting them government bids because they were underbidding. They were underbidding, and now the people who was normally getting that job, if it was a job that they could go in there and say they're gonna get $70,000 for it, and the immigrant went in there and underbid and say he'll do it for 45, it did. That's when it became a problem. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to me, again, I reiterate, I don't see it as a problem. I don't see it as a problem
They
because
they they
that,
come in, and now.
Well, I don't have a my brother. I don't have a problem with immigration. That's not where I stand at. I actually embrace immigration, OG, because to your point, to be honest with you, we're all immigrants. Let's just keep it a buck.
Okay,
But
hold
I
on,
digress on that.
hold on. Let's because we got other people speaking. So I
Oh,
want
okay.
I'm gonna circle back to you guys. I want to be fair, but let's be honest. them being here is not a benefit in any way. There's nobody who can come up here and tell me that them being in this country, them being in our communities is in any way a benefit. It's not. It's not a
But it's
benefit.
not a
Them
hindrance
coming,
either.
hold on, them coming in our communities has only negatively affected the city, our communities, our children, safety. It's only negatively affected that. There's not a single person who can say, no, I can give you a list of things that is beneficial to the black community, them being here. No, it has not been. But I will let you speak. Let me circle back to you. But let me get to Larry because Larry hasn't spoken yet. And then we'll get to the other speakers who haven't spoken. I want to be fair to everybody.
All right, thank you. Hello, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I think you're 100% right, man. And it's sad to say black people just sitting here saying it doesn't affect us. That's that old Democrat mentality, man. These people is coming over to this country, taking your jobs, and when they take your jobs, they look down on you, and they start acting like they white, and talking about you, and they take the truck driving job, they take everything, and I'm glad Trump is deporting them. And you might say, well, that's harsh, man. People in Chicago is waking up now and seeing what these immigrants doing. And like you said, when we had problems in our country, we fought for it and we stayed here and we made it correct. They need to do the same thing because when they come over here, they flee in their country and they come over here and they taking our benefits and getting up and looking down on us. And they do this here all the time. And my thing is, it's the Democrats that's doing this here. One time in the 1990s, we was predicted to pass the Caucasian race and overtake them or be neck to neck with them. They Democrats put Planned Parenthood in the community, and we still 13% of the population. That was in 1990. We were predicted to be up there, and these people multiply twice. They multiply by coming over here, and they multiply by having babies, and that's multiplying twice, and that's doubling us. You know what I'm saying? And I think we need to, as black folks, we need to wake up, and that is affecting all of them. Is affecting us coming over here. Afterwards, it's gonna be the Chinese people doing the same thing. They almost up there, and we're already treated like second class citizens. We're gonna be third class, fourth class. We're gonna be at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
because we keep letting the gates flood. It's affected, but they just want to sit around and act like nothing ain't happening. That's all I had to say, brother.
Yeah. Now, so we can have more people, and let me see if more people come up. Might have to because we got more people to come up. So, is anybody who's on the panel now done with what they have to say?
To test some of the young brothers around here. And it's like, yo, we just got our arms around them. We just got our arms around our young men. We trying to get them to do something different and something. We trying to focus them. And here we come with a whole different element. They walking all up and down O Block, making cat calls and doing ridiculous stuff. Like you don't know what you asking for. And we done already tried. We doing our best to get our arms around our young people and our young men. And here this element comes, and okay, I get it, you gonna get all types of people, but why didn't we get any help from the city? Why didn't anybody come? Why wasn't there anything? And so I know we got a whole lot of people. I just wanted to say that. I also heard, there's people in the comments. I just want to say this real quick. My people have never been lazy. My people have never been lazy.
Talk to
So
them.
all that talk up in there about laziness, this is about dollars and cents, baby, not will. There are people who are willing to settle for a dollar amount that other people would never. My history, our history, we would never settle for dirt. Cheap, nothing. And I'm not trying to say that about, I understand that y'all situation is different, but we won't settle for that. That doesn't mean that we're lazy. We also know how to keep things in perspective. Ain't nobody breaking their back for 14, 13, unless you're getting paid for it. Nobody's breaking their back. Them people who own them places, they getting paid for that. So we need some of that. We done already did our free labor, baby. We're not going back to that.
And let me
So that lazy, that's a lie from the pits of hell. I'll put it back in your hands and you can have that. But don't you ever open your mouth to call my people anything but royalty welcoming, because we opened the doors for other people when we had every right to just think about ourselves. And with
Yep.
that, I'll land my plane.
Thank you. Let me just harp on that for 1 second, then we'll get to the next speakers. Let me say this. We built this country.
Say it again, baby.
Somebody said this before, we're all immigrants. That is not the case. I've
No.
made a lot before that before. We are not immigrants. We did not come to America. There was no America until our ancestors built it. We are people from the nation our ancestors built. It's not like our ancestors came and George Washington was already the president and Congress was already established and all that stuff. The Revolutionary War that was fought because of Crispus Attucks. He was the first person to have a fatality because of that, and he was one of our ancestors. We have built the establishment. We have built the country and the foundation in order for them to even win the Revolutionary War. We were here a whole good century prior, building the country, building the lands, building the infrastructure, building the economy before the Revolutionary War even started. And then America became America. And then we kept building America. So we did not come to America. We built
That's right.
it. We didn't come to some place we built. We built it. All right. So let's be very clear. And I just
Let me just one more point. I want to make one more quick point. I know we're talking about labor. Another thing we really need to be thinking about is the businesses that are in our area. When I was growing up in Detroit and even here in Chicago, I used to come see my Uncle Russell in the Heights all the time. It was nothing but black businesses. It was nothing but black businesses. But then as people started to come over and they were given certain grants, I'm not talking about necessarily Hispanic. I don't know that they were given the same grants, but and you start to get these grants, then we don't have black businesses like that. And then that affects the amount of care and the amount of customer service that we could give to our people. Like it's not just the labor part, it's also where are all our businesses? Where are all our businesses? When I was a kid, my dentist was black, my doctor was black, the grocer was black, the baker was black, and serving black communities. So, all right, that's it. Thank you, babe.
appreciate you, Detroit. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, sweetie.
Thank you. Let me get to Amanda. Amanda, you got it.
Hello, hi. Yes, my thing is with the taking our jobs things. Yes, they are taking, I'm in California, so you already know. And when I go like to the South, and for years when I would go to the South, I would see, lawn business owned by blacks. And, I was just culture shocked, seriously, because I was raised in California. But now when I go to the South, I'm seeing a transition. It's not the same. Even going to Atlanta, there's a transition more of so, lower paying jobs are being taken. But I hate for people to say black jobs because that is not my job. For one, there needs to be some form of immigration. I doubt if they'll be able to get a control over it, but I'm not trying to pay $10 for an apple. And I know no one's trying to pick an apple for pennies, because that's what's going to happen when we white people, brown, yellow, red, needs to start picking fruits or whatever. The price has to go up. So there's got to be some form of immigration just to keep prices down on certain things.
Okay, so what? Let me get your stance on this. Are you acknowledging the fact that these people are working for being illegally paid because they're getting paid under minimum wage?
I really do feel not all. Yes, a lot of them are. Yes,
Okay.
they are.
Now, can I say this? We have to understand that America has been a country for a minute now. we've had people, our ancestors, we were the original sharecroppers. We were the original people working on the land. We were the original people doing
Unfairly
much,
paid.
yeah, that's
Unfairly
true, but
paid.
much harsher work than people
Yes.
picking fruits and apples and all of this stuff.
Yes.
We're gonna have
That
to
was
be
just an
honest.
example.
So when people say who's gonna do that, these farmers are literally getting away with, not because they can't, because they all claim that they can't. For they've created this narrative that the immigrants got to do it because nobody else wants to do that work. That's not true. That's their
No, because they
excuse.
don't want to pay.
Yeah, that's their excuse because they don't want to pay what they should be paying. That's their problem. All any and every company would do that if they could get away with that. But for whatever reason, we've allowed white farmers to get away with that excuse. Hold on, let me get you off the thing. We've
It's
allowed
not
white
just
farmers.
it's not just farmers. It's a lot of, like, for instance, I have rental properties, and
Uh-huh.
it's a contractor will come out with his clipboard and go through, give you the estimate, and guess who comes and does the work? Somebody you can't even communicate with, but YT came in and gave me the bid. So it's not just fruit. I mean, it's in all labor, housekeeping,
Exactly.
hotels,
And all of
it's everywhere.
and these people get to pay. These people can't are not underpaying because they can't afford to pay what they're supposed to. They're underpaying because they get to have more take home money if they underpay. If I have a business and I can afford to hire somebody for $20 an hour, but I have somebody who's willing to work for $13 an hour, it would make more sense for me to hire the person willing to work for $13 an hour. That doesn't mean I can't afford the $20 an hour person, but I'm saving money if I hire somebody to do the exact same work for a cheaper price. And that's how America has been doing business for generations now. So when
Yes,
people say if
yes,
they
that
get
is
deported,
true, but that gets passed on to us too. But my other point
hold on.
was,
Let me ask,
go ahead.
are you saying that if they get deported, is somebody got the mic on mute or something? What's that
No,
sound?
that's my no,
Okay,
that's
okay,
my
okay, cool.
my
If they get
grandfather clock.
deported, if they get deported, we have millions. We literally have millions of Americans who are unemployed. We have millions of people who are willing to work these jobs for a fair wage. Our only issue is that we're not going to be finessed by these farmers. You're going to
Right.
have to pay a fair wage, and that's the way things should be.
Look, what you're saying, we're basically, I agree with what you're saying. I'm not going against that. But I'm just saying there is going to be some form of immigration. But my problem is we're letting the government deflect and distract us and put our minds in a place of just one, immigration. You need to see what they're doing on the back end. What's the whole game plan? You see what he's trying to undo, all the things that he's trying to undo. That should also be our focus. We can focus on two things at once, but I feel like they're throwing the immigration up in our face, which has been going on for a while, only because they're trying to turn our attention from other things that are going on. All these civil rights things that he's trying to remove that my people fought for. Come on now, you don't see that? It's not just about immigration. That's what everybody can come together on. Like, yeah, they are taking our jobs. They're here illegally. And yes, they are here illegally. They are. And I'm not saying they should be. Trust me. But we need to pay attention to what else is going on
Okay, but let's
and not get distracted.
yeah, because we can have, I mean, we can have multiple different live streams. But let me ask you a question before I
No, I'm not saying live streams. I'm just saying
yeah,
that, like, don't
I'm
let this
actually
be
gonna
the focus of our life.
On my YouTube, I'm gonna have a conversation about DEI because I know that's probably what you were referring to, right? DEI. So on my YouTube, which is Afro Elite on YouTube, I'll be having a live stream tomorrow evening about the DEI situation. But let me just
Okay.
ask you this one question because I just want to get your stance on this. Do you feel that mass deportation is a good or a bad thing for the black community?
I don't even see how it benefits us, or I really don't see how it benefits us, honestly.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. Do you
No,
think
I heard what you were saying earlier, but yeah, I get the point of maybe we'll go apply for those jobs or we'll get hired or whatever. But at this point, I don't see how it's benefiting us right now.
oh, I mean, okay. Do you think that mass immigration was a good or a bad thing for the black community?
I haven't even looked at that really. When I don't want to say older because he's only 5 years older than me. When he was speaking on that, I never thought about it. How the way it was done was to kind of put us, put us down lower. I never thought of it like that, to
But
be honest.
don't you think that that would make it a negative thing though? If
That
it
would
puts
make
us
it a
down
negative
lower, it
thing.
would make it a
So
negative thing.
would incarcerating a lot of our men
Okay,
and
and that's
breaking
true.
up the families.
That's true.
They doing stuff on multiple
But
levels
that's
to
true.
black people.
That's true. So we can say that
Yes.
that thing is negative. It's a negative thing. So that means them being deported would be a positive. If it's the opposite of a negative, it's a positive. Right.
Uh,
Uh, but I don't know why you like admit it, but you don't want to say it. That's an interesting thing.
because it's not like the ones that they're taking away is not affecting me. Do you get what I'm saying? It does. You get like,
But it's
say if I
about.
was.
I feel like it's about the community. Shouldn't it be about the community, the overall benefit of the community?
And that's the whole problem. It's hard for me to see it because I don't live in the community where I'm being affected by it. Now, if I lived where my rental properties are, yes, it would be directly affecting me. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't work in an environment where they're affecting me.
Okay. I don't see that. I don't see that.
I'm not even at any point going to apply for any jobs that they're currently working for.
If you know that it does affect black people across America, maybe not you or your family or anybody you know,
Yeah, because
but if
honestly,
you know
sir, I
that,
don't know any of my family members or friends that want to do any of those jobs. That's why I'm saying
okay,
that.
but if you know, and I'm not just talking about the jobs, I'm talking about the fact that them coming over harms the black community on multiple levels, not just when it comes to employment. But if you know it negatively affects the black community, it shouldn't have to personally affect you.
It's negatively affecting all communities that are citizens. Who's affecting me more so is my government.
Okay, man, it feel like you're being a little disingenuous here
No, I'm not.
because
I'm
you
sincere.
admit that them coming,
Look,
you admit that. Here's
I'm
my
the
thing.
one
Here's my thing.
person that's for
Here's
birthrights.
here's
That's
my
for the
thing.
birthrights I do not want.
Here's my
I'm
thing.
like, you not
And
getting
I
it, what I'm
hold on.
saying.
Here's my thing is because maybe we're missing each other because when I said that it was a negative thing, you said okay, I agree, it's negative. I agree that it's harming the community, it's putting the community down. So I said that, do you think that the mass deportation would be a good thing? And you don't want to admit that mass deportation would be a positive thing for the community. You don't want to take a stance on it, but you admit that mass immigration would be a negative thing. So why is it that you don't want to admit that mass deportation would be something that the black community would benefit from?
Well, the reason why I'm not seeing it as a positive thing is because when they're doing mass deportations, they're not taking the whole family. You're still leaving some behind that are going to be here relying on the system or so-called breaking up families. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to say yes. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not like the majority of the people that are getting on being deported are women and children. You get what I'm saying? So that's more people here. So that's why I'm having a hard time with that. It is directly right now, I cannot say how it is affecting the black community today at this time. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Oh,
two
and that's
months from now, maybe when they get 3 million or however many million he said he was going to get out, maybe that's when I can say, yeah, that was, that needed to be done. We're better now.
all right. Okay. And
Okay.
that's your stance on it.
Hey, let me ask you
I'm gonna
something.
allow other people to speak. There's a lot of people who haven't spoken yet, and there's still people who are requesting. So we'll allow everybody to speak. Uh, oh Lord, chat room's funny. Who was next? Let me see who was next. I think it was Who was
It
Dave?
was me, David.
David. Okay.
Um, to be honest, I think it's kind of crazy that kind of the excuse of having so many illegal immigrants here is the argument for basically slave labor. Um, I don't think that's good enough an excuse, only because you're basically allowing these corporations and these companies to exploit other people. They're exploiting other people by lowering their wages and not paying them what they should be paid. And then
Mhm.
they're exploiting the Americans that's here, especially the Black Americans, because we don't even get those jobs. Like it
Mhm.
should be no reason why I'm looking at jobs and stuff like that, and for a lot of these simple jobs, you have to be bilingual. For what? This is America. Like I remember working at the Portillo's factory, and my supervisors didn't speak English at all. Matter of fact, most of the people that worked there didn't speak English. They gave me a direction on how to actually do my job, and then from there, the supervisors just kind of point and kind of like gesture on what they want you to do, but they didn't actually speak any English. So how is it that us Black Americans are getting looked over for people who can't even speak the language in our country? How is it that they're allowed to bring all these rugs over into the country and bring them into the communities that's actually causing hundreds of thousands of people to lose their lives, and we sitting here like, this is okay? Why do we have to sit here and fight and rebuild and figure it out in our own country? Because like they act like being treated unfairly is something new. We experienced that as well. We stayed here and fixed it. So they
Mhm.
should be they should be doing the same thing. It should be no reason why 20,000, 30,000 Chinese nationals or from people from South America are sneaking across the border. There should be no reason why these military aged men aren't staying in their own country, fighting for their own country, fixing their own shit like we have to do. It should be no reason why part of our debt is because we spend so much on these social programs that they are benefiting from. Like we had to stay our whole lives and pay into the system for 5, 10, 15, 20 years to receive these benefits, and they come over here, be here for a month, and then receive the same amount of benefits, and the excuse is, oh, they contribute to the economy. Well, for how long? How much money are they using from America based off how much they're spending in? How much of the money that we put in are they using? Like it's kind of crazy to me that we expect us as a people, as Black people, to rebuild our own cities and stuff like that. Like for instance, in Chicago, because I'm from Maywood, in Chicago, we have been asking to use certain centers and stuff like that for like to get the kids off the street, so the kids actually have something to do. Well, we were getting denied from that. That the city's telling us no. But when these immigrants come over here, they open the building right away. Start giving them free around the clock health care, food stamps, goddamn like housing.
Mhm.
This is all nonsense. If we even want to get that type of benefit, we have to apply for this, apply for that, wait 5 to 10 years, this and that, and they coming over here getting reduced school lunch and this and that. Like we have to go through so many hoops in order to receive the same benefits that they just get handed. And it's like, no, we already spent too much money on all this other stuff that we don't actually give a damn about or agree with. So no, we shouldn't be spending all this money on y'all. Like even the Colombian president tried to block his own citizens from being sent back to his country.
That's
Like, why
true.
don't you own your own? Why don't you want your own? I thought these are hardworking
Did you
people.
see what he said though? Like y'all just up here spreading
Hold
all
on,
kinds
hold
of
on. I'm gonna
lies,
let you
bro.
go. I'm gonna let you go next. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Why don't we, why, if these are all hardworking people and things of that nature? Why don't these countries want their own people back?
They
Why?
do.
Why? No, they don't.
Let him finish, and I'm gonna
They
let you
Go
respond.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
they don't. We had two planes that actually got that we couldn't even land in Colombia to bring their goddamn people back. Trump had to tell them, I'm going to tariff you 25%, then 50% next week, then cancel all your visas and all this other stuff just to get these hardworking people back. If they're so hardworking, if all these people are so good and hardworking, work hard in your own country, fix
God,
your
man.
own shit.
Hold on.
And I'll land my plane with that.
Okay.
If they're so hardworking, fix your own shit and work hard in your own country and build that motherfucker up like we built this one up.
Real talk. Sorry, I was getting a call, but yeah, I fully agree. And then, you got something to say? You can go ahead.
Whew, okay, first off, do you know why the Colombian president returned the plane? Do you know what he said about the situation? Anybody? It's not because he didn't want his people. So does anybody have a rebuttal to that?
Go ahead, speak your piece.
Okay, so the Colombian president said he did not want his people coming back as criminals because they were loaded onto army planes, which are not seated, they're not well maintenance. Like, if you've ever been inside of an army airplane, like, it's just to drop items and people. They jump out the back of them. So that's number one.
So
He
he didn't
never
want
said
his
he
own
didn't want
people.
his
All right,
people.
got it.
He never said he didn't want his people. And as far as the tariff situation go, yeah, they're going to go into a trade war. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, that's neither here nor there. But as far as you all saying that they don't do this, they don't do that, they're taking black jobs, da 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 da. I want to know how. You said that it's a negative impact to the black community. How? What have you negatively affected us? Because they do not get food stamps. Like everybody in
Yes,
here
they
talking about
do.
they get. No, they don't. Illegal
Okay,
immigrants.
don't interrupt her. Let her go.
Illegals.
Let her go.
First of all, when you go to the food stamp office, anybody that's ever been there, you have to provide them what? Go ahead, anybody.
Okay, we're
ID.
not gonna do a Q and A now.
ID.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
Security
about to say
nobody
number.
knows
because
the answer. That's what I'm
if you
saying. Y'all
want
up
me
here
to
spreading
respond,
lies.
I
So
actually
here's the
need
thing.
it
You
because
got
Nobody else was stop.
you got
Nobody else
social
was doing that. I
security.
let people
You
go.
have to have a social security number in order to get those benefits. Guess what illegals do not have? They do not have a social security number. The only people that can get benefits that is considered an immigrant is those that are covered under DACA, which is legally entering this country. White people told y'all these lies and y'all believed them. So
Okay,
go
well,
ahead.
let me ask you a question. Why did the mayor of New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, say that that's what he was doing? Why did he say that then?
But that's just it. States can offer benefits, but on
Well, I
a
mean, because
on
hold on, man,
no no
because you said
no
that
no. Y'all
can't
are talking about
happen
on a
and that
federal
was
level. Y'all
not
did not say on the
happening,
state. Y'all
and
said
then I
federal.
said
So let's go
Eric
federal.
Adams, the mayor of New York, said it was. So
That's a
why
state,
did you lie?
right? That's a state. So again, state wise, if a state decides to give you a benefit, you can have it. Federally, they cannot get them. So
Okay,
you should be mad at your
at the
state
end,
if that's
so
your state. Do you
we're
live in New
fighting.
York?
We're fighting over like the small little details. The detail is that there are resources because what you're trying to
They can
say,
get WIC.
hold on, ma'am. Because what I'm picking up is that you're trying to convey that they're not coming over and getting resources, and now you're trying to say, oh well, they're getting resources,
No,
but
no,
they're
no, no,
not
no, no,
getting
no, 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 no,
resources
no, no,
from the
no,
federal
no, no, no,
government.
no, no.
That's
And
what
if
we're
we
not
could, if
saying.
I could screen share it to you, I would gladly pull it up. Y'all are trying to make it seem like they come over, get food stamps, they get Section 8, they get this, they get that. That's not the case. That's not the case at all.
Okay, why, if that's the case, if they're not getting anything, why did the mayor say that that's what they were doing? The
The
mayor,
state,
Eric
because
Adams,
you're
hold
sitting
on,
there,
man, hold
you
on. Let
just
me say
answered
that.
your
Let
own
me ask you
question.
this question so you can answer it. Eric Adams and Brandon Johnson, that's the mayor of New York City and the mayor of Chicago. I keep forgetting the mayor of Denver, Colorado. I keep forgetting his name, but they all sent letters and went to DC. That's when Biden was president, to ask Biden for more resources because they were using the city resources to fund them and to take care of them, to house them and to feed them. Eric Adams has admitted that he was giving them debit cards so they can buy their own groceries
Debit
because they
cards.
did not like, this is what Eric Adams said, all right, because they did not like the food choices that were being provided for them. So he said it would be better if I can just give them money and they can buy their own food. This is what Eric Adams said. So when you come up here and you making it seem like they're not getting anything, and you have the actual mayors of Chicago and New York saying that, yeah, they're getting so much stuff that we need Biden to step in because we're going broke, and Biden never stepped in, which is why you have Chicago in major debt and New York in major debt, which is why you had a hiring freeze in both of these cities. This is what both of these mayors have admitted to. So it's not like we're making stuff up. This is what, and they're both Democrat. This is what both of these Democratic mayors have admitted to. So we're not making it up.
So where did, because that's my thing. You keep saying that this is what the illegals are getting. And I just now Googled it. I don't see anywhere, once again, the only immigrants that are qualified for the benefits that you were talking about are going through the process of becoming legal. So
Okay.
that's totally different. They're trying to do it the legal way. Like what y'all are saying are the people that come across are just automatically getting benefits. That is not the case. Like you still have to go through the legal system in order to get any of these items that you are even naming. States, some states, New York is one of them, who I think they decided to give debit cards out to some that were coming across, I guess I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were sneaking in through ships, and that wasn't even Hispanic immigrants that they were talking about. The issue here is you are saying that it doesn't affect, or that it's going to affect the black community, but there are black immigrants too, and y'all only seem to focus on the Hispanic ones. Why?
No, I'm talking about all. Let me be clear. I'm talking
I'm
about all
behind her
immigrants being
100%.
allowed over here. Now, here's the thing. What I don't like is the fact that most of them coming over
Shut
here
up.
are not. Most of them coming over here are not black immigrants. Let's be honest. Most of them coming over here are Hispanic immigrants, are white Hispanic immigrants. Let's be very clear with that. All of them need to go, but you're not going to cherry pick the few black ones and say, oh, well, what about the black ones? What about the Haitian over here and the Jamaican over here? When most of them are from Venezuela. So let's be genuine. Let's not be disingenuous with that. And another thing is the fact that them coming over here, regardless of where they're from or what their skin tone is, them coming over is not a positive. I have yet to hear anybody make an argument that them coming over is any benefit at all to the black
But
community, the black American community.
every time they do, you shut it down. So you said a minute
Okay,
ago,
what
you
is
was
the
talking about,
benefit? I'm asking, what is the benefit?
like, okay, so for one, your food costs are already high right now. You keep
Mm-hmm,
talking about farmers have to give a good wage for others to
mm-hmm,
take those jobs. That is still going to affect your pockets. Like I live in the South. The way that
mm-hmm,
that shit works, when they sell their crops, they're of course making the benefit for them. Then they have to regrow. So they have to rebuy all their products in order to get a new crop going. That costs money. So if you're coming in there, because I don't know anybody that's going to work for less than 7.25, and that's a minimum wage in most states. So if you live in a state that has higher minimum wage, you're literally telling a farmer who has 1,000 other costs and expenses, I want to make $20 an hour. They're gonna look at you like you're fucking crazy. That's it's not do
man.
and
Do you know?
if they do agree to pay you that much money for you to come till the land, pick the crops, and get them where they need to go, they're going to lose money, and they're going to go ahead and hit the pockets of the stores that are buying the produce that they're going to sell. So tell me
Yes,
how.
okay, ma'am. Do you understand though? That's literally how every single business in America works.
Yes, and
But,
now you see the
but here's the
problem.
thing: if we use that as an excuse, then no business at all should be able to hire people for a reasonable wage. They can literally every single business in the United States of America could get away with making that excuse that, oh, we got to pay for a restaurant, oh, we got to pay for the food, we got
And
to pay for the
every
lighting,
time
we
that
got to
they
pay for
do,
the insurance.
what
Every
you're
single
saying, the
business
cost
can
goes
make
up.
that excuse. What the thing is that these farmers can financially pay people reasonable wage, they just do not want to.
And they're going
And
to
we
hit your
keep letting them,
pockets.
hold on, we keep letting them slide with saying, oh, they can't afford it, they can afford it, just like all of these other businesses can't afford it, but we keep giving them a pass and we shouldn't.
Okay, so okay. McDonald's can afford to pay people at least 30 an hour, do they? No. But if they chose to do that, they will literally raise the cost of your food higher. Say you buy a Big Mac for $7. If they start paying people 30 something an hour to work at McDonald's, that Big Mac is going to go from 7 to try $17. Like there's checks and balances in everything that you
Mm-hmm.
do. And unfortunately, y'all love capitalism. Guess what capitalism does? It gives you free range to do whatever the fuck you want, pretty much. So either y'all want socialism or y'all want
Now,
capitalism. Which one is it?
here's the thing with your argument, that would only make sense with the whole grocery. Let me show y'all, because there's a lot of people, there's over 400 people in this chat. The whole food prices are going to go up. That would only make sense if by in the last few years, food prices have not become the most expensive we've ever seen. Food prices across America, not just in one state or
You
two.
know why
Hold
that's
on, ma'am. Hold on, ma'am.
inflation? Do you know how
Food
inflation was
prices across
caused?
ma'am, hold on. Food prices across the entire country is literally at record-breaking high numbers because of the fact that they have come over here.
No.
Okay, because of all of this inflation, food prices didn't go down with mass immigration. So how is mass deportation
Bro, you are
raising
literally trying
prices?
to confuse inflation due to a
No,
COVID
ma'am. No,
19
ma'am. I'm
compared
saying.
to
I'm
immigrants. The
saying.
immigrants
Ma'am,
were
hold on.
here
No, 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 no,
before,
no,
and there
no.
was no, like,
Stop,
y'all.
ma'am. Stop,
This
stop,
is so
stop,
funny
stop,
to
stop.
me.
Because what I am saying
Who told you
is
this?
that you guys keep making the argument that if they leave, food prices are going to go up.
And they
But
will. And they
they will
have. They've
not.
already started. Like, literally,
They
in
will stop it,
California,
ma'am. They
okay.
will not. These
Okay.
farmers, what
Sure.
needs to happen, stop it, hold on. What needs to happen is that these farmers who can literally afford to do so, these farmers need to hire people, need to stop being able to get away with illegal labor. Anybody else doing illegal labor would literally be arrested and thrown to jail. But we keep making excuses for the farmers to do that for whatever reason. We need to stop doing that.
But it's not
Any
just
if
farmers. That's just an example.
anybody else would get away, anybody else could go to jail for that. These people are doing this not to save money on their budgeting, not to save money for the business. They're doing that because that's more take home money for them.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. I just want to know how many people in this chat or on this panel is willing to actually go out there and pick something.
Thank you, y'all. That's
Ma'am,
my
ma'am,
thing.
Because
hey, I'm gonna let you
I
speak.
We're
mean,
I'm gonna
not
let
there,
you
I
going
speak.
to
mean,
do the
there's a
For
work.
lot of
no
Y'all can
price,
immigrants
not
who are
doing
Ma'am,
it.
cleaning
hold on,
porta
stop it.
potties.
Everybody stop. Come on, because don't make me drop you. I'm trying to be fair. Don't let me drop you. Don't make me do that. I'm gonna be honest. There are Americans. Do y'all know that there are people who work in sewers?
Yes, and
American
those are
sewage.
Hispanic people
And they
as
get
There,
good
well.
hold on, no,
money.
no, 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 no. There are people who work in sewers. They get paid a decent wage. There are people across America who are willing to work any job whatsoever if they are being paid fairly. But what y'all
Yes.
saying is that this labor picking and all of this stuff, people won't do. People will do that if you enforce that the farmers and the employers pay people fairly. But they keep getting away with underpaying
Capitalism.
using illegal immigrants. And you all
Who's
keep
letting
making
them get away
excuses.
with it, sir?
The American government, and they need to be held accountable for that. And they
Okay.
need to go
But
to
you
And
jail for
let's
live,
that.
do it
And be
then.
quiet when I'm speaking. All right. That's the problem. I'm not saying that the companies and the law enforcement, I'm not saying that they should get away with that, but they are. But the problem is we can't hold them accountable because every time we say that they're using illegal labor, there's people who try to make justifications and rationales for it and make excuses on their behalf. We can't be doing that anymore.
Can I talk now?
Oh, no, hold on.
So
Let
what
me
are
let
we
me
gonna
let
do, sir? That's all I'm asking you before I go to bed. What do you want us to do? What do you think we need to do?
I want us to get out of ICE way and let them do their job. That's what we need to do.
you.
You have a good night.
I
Yeah,
have
you have to go
a
to bed.
question though, not regarding to farmers. So I understand you want higher pay. So let me just ask you something. I don't know what state you live in. So I live in Tennessee. So the cost of living here is not that high. So for us, making anything over 20 an hour is good money here. So I can't speak for all states. If you had a job that paid you $32 an hour for an 8-hour shift, letting you allows you to bring home at least 250 a day, would you do it no matter what the job is?
No, not no matter what the job is. It would have to be something like reasonable.
And that's the problem. So the company that I work for, we offer our drivers 250 a day. And the only people that show up are the immigrants, the Hispanic workers, the Haitian workers, the Venezuelan workers. We had white men that showed up, did the job for a week, quit, said it was too hard. We had black teams that came in, not because Haitians are black too, but I'm talking about African
Mhm.
Americans came in, they did the job for 2 days, quit. All the time they came in late as fuck, smelling like green. I mean, at
Okay.
some point you have to draw the line and say, okay, these people are hardworking. These people ain't gonna do shit, honestly, when they leave. Like, we don't have no backup. What are we gonna do?
I don't know what your anecdotal situation is. I can't know that, but let me speak to that to the best of my ability. I will say, if you're saying that the truth, you said 30 something dollars an hour to what, drive a
30,
truck or something, right?
32. You would make deliveries for $32 an hour.
Okay, and you said you have a lot of people who won't show up.
They won't show up. They won't do the job. They say that it's too hard and they leave.
Okay, so you don't have any Americans willing to show up and do the job or whatever.
No, and that's the thing. Like, if I could record this without getting in trouble due to signing an or excuse me, a non-disclosure agreement, I would. I would gladly record these people coming in, picking up their products, and leaving. The
Okay.
Americans don't want to do it. Everybody else comes in good mood, happy. They're just happy to get there, get the job
Mhm.
done, get their check. All
Okay.
the Americans that show up, like I said, they work for a few days. They might get their
in
first
in
check and
in
leave.
in the because I know a lot of Americans who are not making half that much money. There's a lot of Americans, most of Americans employed right now are not making half that much money an hour. So you
Mhm.
mean to tell me that job is too difficult? Maybe they feel like based off of their qualifications, they should be getting paid more or benefit more off of that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Man,
Yeah,
okay,
I
I
can
know
actually
a
speak.
bunch of black folk. Let's be real. I know a bunch of black Americans who drive trucks. I know a lot of black
Exactly.
Americans who
yeah, we
drive
all
trucks.
know a
So
lot of people that
this whole
drive
let's
trucks.
be honest. This whole thing of black people too lazy to drive trucks. I don't know where you getting that from.
It ain't
I
about
could
that.
Maybe
speak to that
maybe
Like,
there's
because I'm
some
one of those black
backfield that you're
people.
not telling me.
I,
Let's
I
be
never,
real.
I never
Come
said
on
that.
now,
I
because
just said that the black people that showed
it's
up
not
there.
adding up really.
I could speak to that because I'm one of those black people that have. I've been driving box trucks since I was 18 for the last 10 years.
Uh-huh.
So, what a lot of these companies do, what they don't tell you is, if you actually are working there, one, you don't get no type of overtime because they're not held to the labor law, so they don't actually have to pay you overtime or anything like that.
That is true.
And a
That's
lot
very
of a
true.
lot of the problem is they don't offer really any insurance in order for so you can
That's
have
the
some
problem.
type of exactly. So imagine this. You can't get insurance because you make too much money. You can't get insurance from the government. So that's already dead in the water. Then when you're actually on the job, the risk is so great where you falling off trucks, things are falling on you, you may get hit by a car, this or that. You're actually put in a lot of situations where if you get injured, that's it. Like that's literally it. You're fired because you can't work. You can't drive. You can't pick anything up. You can't deliver anything. And then if you do ask for more money, they will lower your hours, and then ultimately they will make you even want to quit because the new person that they hired in is going they're going to pay them less. And they don't actually have to pay you even more even if you do work for a long time. So a lot of these people who are actually in that industry are burnt out because all the companies are getting away with treating us like crap. They
Hmm.
don't have to offer us anything. They don't have to do anything special. And then if even if we are working there for a year, 2 years, or whatever it is, they don't have to pay us any more money because they can just bring somebody else in, pay them at the starting wage, and then lower your hours, lower your routes, and everything like
And
that.
and
I've
and
been
he's
pushed
telling
off
the
a truck
truth.
before.
He's
I've been
telling the
pushed off
truth.
the truck a few times, and if I told my company that my back was hurting, my leg was hurting, whatever it is, I then I'm done for the week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and then by that time someone else is going to come in, and I'm basically out of work. So it's still allowing companies to kind of get away with nonsense.
And it's still, his company is a little bit different than mine, but for the most part, most of everything that he said is true. They do not have to offer you overtime. They do not have to offer you benefits. But that's like under the policies that we're going through now, companies are not required to offer overtime. They're not required. So, and even if they did offer the overtime, it still doesn't help with the physical, like you said, the physical damage that you can get to your body. Most people are not willing to do that. Like,
Now, hold
there
on,
are,
man. Hold on, ma'am. Hold on. because earlier you were saying that they were showing up late. You were saying that they
Yeah,
were
they
saying
do.
that
They
they were
do.
too lazy.
They
Then when the
are.
brother explained that there's a
Wow.
lot of risk to the job, and it doesn't equal
So
out, but based off of what they're getting paid, it does not equal out. It's not worth it. It's a whole bunch of black Americans who will take jobs that are risky if it's worth it. But you guys are having jobs that are really not worth it, but the only people who are willing to work those jobs are illegal immigrants. So that's the whole idea, because you were originally saying that black American, you were saying that we were lazy, we were too lazy to
I
show up, we were
never said
showing
black
up,
America. Like you're
we
trying to
was
put words in my mouth, and
oh, ma'am,
that's
you
not
were
what I
saying
said.
that they said that they don't want to work. The
They
work
did
is
say
you.
that.
That's
They
what
did
you were
say that.
saying.
But I said that
Then
there were
now
white
you're
guys and
hold
black
on,
guys.
because now
I
you're
said
conceding.
American.
Hold on, because now you're conceding. It's not that they don't
Did
want to
anybody hear
work,
me say
or
that?
the
Because I
work,
literally said
ma'am.
white. There
What
was
you,
two white
ma'am?
men,
Hold
and there
on.
was black guys.
If you don't stop it, because
That you try to put
what
words in my
you
mouth, but all right.
said now, what you said before, you were trying to make an example of they need to be here because they're willing to do difficult jobs that Americans are unwilling to do. And then when he explained, well, yeah, that's because a lot of those jobs are not worth it. These companies get away with penny pinching, so they don't have to pay for insurance, they don't have to pay for overtime, and they penny pinch so they can have more money in their pocket. And everybody knows that. And illegal immigrants, they work that because they're illegal immigrants. So let's be
Thank
honest.
you in the comments.
Host,
Thank you.
host, can I add to that real quick? Thanks for bringing me up. And I gotta add to what David said because this is to me, this is where I feel like gentlemen truly understand what's right in front of them, and for her to say that she doesn't see the issue with why most Americans feel the way they do, but then to admit to the issues that are in her own job, the fact that there's no responsibility for them to give health insurance, they don't have to pay for that, or they don't have to pay overtime. Like to me, it's crazy because what you're saying is, how do we know now? How do we know, Americans? How do we know that these immigrants have been told that information? They may be getting taken for a ride and don't even know it because they have no choice. They got to work that job. An American person, American citizen does not have to take a job or do labor that doesn't benefit them monetarily or health wise. That's our right as Americans. We have the right to demand fair pay for our labor. We get taxed on our labor. So if I'm going to work a job, I want to work a job that is in my best interest, that has my best interest for any company. That's how it should be. So for you to say, well, David's right, for you to say, well, he has a good point, and then turn around and say, well, we should still have illegal immigrants doing those jobs because you guys don't want to, sounds crazy to me. That's exactly how we ended up in the slave trade to begin with in America. Don't you see that you're part of the problem? You're perpetuating the idea that slave wage and slave labor is a part of the American fabric. It should not be. If we wanted to end slavery, then why do we continue slavery with other things?
Like imagine this.
Unfortunately,
Imagine this. Like, cause I used to deliver wash machines, dryers, refrigerators, ranges, what you name it. Like I used to move people houses. Imagine you working for 10 to 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours to get paid the same daily wage. Imagine that you make too much money to receive any type of health care or anything like that from the government at all, and then the health care that you can pay into costs so much that by the end of it you can't even pay your bills. And then imagine you don't get any type of overtime for the risk that you're taking. Imagine you're falling off trucks. Imagine that you're working in the craziest weather, from when I lived in Vegas working in 118-degree weather, to when I lived in Chicago working in 0-degree weather. Imagine going upstairs, three flights of stairs with snow on the ground, slipping and falling, and you don't get no type of health coverage from nothing. And then on top of that, because they're allowed to hire illegal immigrants or whatever it is, they can actually decrease your wage even more, because they will sit there and tell you, well, I'm not paying nobody that much, so why should I pay you this much?
But
You know what I mean? I'm
David,
paying I'm paying this person pennies,
you
so
know
I'm
how
gonna
you
pay
put
you pennies.
you know how you push that point though, bro? Let's paint this picture, host. And if you would allow me, it's not to move the goalpost, but just to kind of like check the heart posture of the panel real quick. This same ideology, if we use this same ideology in terms of, well, illegal immigrants working for less money, right? Versus American citizens who are quote unquote lazy. Let's turn it around. We talk a lot about the gender gap between males and females. Well, what if we treated you like you say we should treat illegal immigrants? Women can't be at the office because they rear the children. So it means they have to be at the appointments. They have to have maternity leave. So what if we just had you guys do your labor for less because you're more of a liability to my bottom line, and we paid the men more because they don't have to rear the children. They don't have to stay home when they're sick. See, you don't like that because that's inequality for you as a woman. But you will go ahead and say that an American citizen should have to step aside and just swallow the fact that somebody coming to our country illegally should have a job over an American citizen who just wants to be paid what they should be paid.
That wasn't the argument, though. He said what is
Can I
benefiting.
speak?
What I'm telling you is if companies start doing what you all are saying, which they will never do that because we, again, capitalism. You all are arguing a case that the government isn't even agreeing with you guys on. So that's kind of infuriating in itself. But at the end of the day, his question was, what benefits do you see? These are the benefits. Like those companies without that labor, they will go bankrupt. You don't understand because I can't name all the products that are brought to you by these people. However, you use these products daily. So in life, you're going to see the difference of paying someone a fair
So
wage versus how much you're going to pay on the
That's
shelf.
okay, and they
Like,
should go out of
yeah, hold on,
business. Let me tell you that they should go
this
out
is
of
becoming.
business.
Hold on, this is supposed to be a dialogue, and there's people who haven't even spoken yet, and I do want to be fair. But let me address what you had to say. But the thing is that the argument of if they leave, nobody's going to do the work. Yes, nobody wants to be finessed. We're not going to work and be finessed by a company if there's no insurance, if there's no overtime, if the risk is not worth the reward. We are not going to accept that. All right. So your argument shouldn't be, okay, well, that's fine. Just keep the illegals over here doing that work. The argument should be, okay, if there is no illegals to work, then the company will have to adapt and the company will have to change in order so they can get employment or employment.
so have you looked at
Only
this?
way. So
Have
if
you?
they leave, because the thing is, if they leave, there ain't nobody working for them, then they're either going to close down or they're going to adapt and change, and they're going to become a more fair place to work for. That's the only
Correct.
way. And if
Correct.
they don't want to become a more fair place to work for, then they might as well go anyway. Let's be honest.
But that's just it. Like this. Oh God, it's like I'm not going to get you to understand this because you're just looking at it as, oh, we can shut the business down. Fuck it. We'll take our money elsewhere. This is going to be all businesses. It's not just going to be one or two. You're causing inflation because of supply and demand.
No,
These
no,
are.
no,
Do you
no,
know how
no,
inflation works,
ma'am.
sir? Do you know
No,
how
no,
inflation
I'm not. No,
happens?
ma'am. No, that's
Okay.
not gonna happen. Because
So you don't understand supply and
ma'am.
demand. This is basic
This is literally
economics.
something. This is literally something that's happened in multiple factories and in construction work
And they've
before,
left the
where they
US, which
had
is
a
why
bunch
you're
of
fighting to get them
illegal
back here,
immigrants
sir.
working and getting underpaid because they did not want to hire American citizens to do that job. This happened at least twice in Chicago where ICE was called, and because a bunch of people got laid off, they had Black Americans come in and fill those jobs. So this has happened at least twice. So the whole thing of if we have the illegals go away, the company will shut down and it'll be this disaster, it won't happen because we've already seen this story before. We know how it ends.
Okay. So again, when it comes to supply, because you were talking about prices going up earlier, but that has to do with supply and demand. This is basic economics. How did the inflation start then? Because you blamed immigrants on the cost of
No,
groceries
no,
going up. You
I
did say that in the
misspoke.
beginning.
I misspoke. What I meant to say is that they are raising every, for instance, in Chicago, Chicago's in debt. So Chicago had to raise everything because of that. I was using that as an example. I said the wrong word, but I was using the fact that them coming in and the government paying for their housing, their food, and all of that, that put Chicago in debt. So then Chicago had to raise the taxes on its tax-paying citizens. That's what I originally meant to say,
Okay.
which
Because
that
you
is
said
the truth.
immigrants, which had me infuriated for a minute because they didn't cause the inflation. Unfortunately, we poorly handled COVID-19.
Okay,
Our
but let's
country
not
did
let.
that.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I know I said that, but what I said now is what I said now. So
So, I mean, in a few years, if all of this goes as planned, we will. I hope we can circle back to this because at the end of the day, I'm an adult. You seem to be an adult. I would
mhm,
like for us to re-intervene, maybe come back together in 4 years to see how this goes because I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm not scared to tell where you I will tell you where I'm at.
mhm.
Um, Everywhere around me is rural area. It's all farmland. My family owns farms. That's why I'm telling you, it's not as simple as oh, we can pay this much for workers and everything's going to just come out right. No, usually when stuff like that happens, it causes the farmers to go in debt. So then the government offers grants to the farmers so they can keep, producing food and providing goods to everyone's table.
Mhm.
There's a lot of behind the scenes to farm life. It's not just, oh, I have a tractor, I'm going to plow some fields, here's some corn.
I know farmers personally. I know some, so I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna say this: if it's the case where you need to have a bunch of illegals working at your farm, then honestly you need to downsize. If your business is too big, where you can't afford to hire as many people working, as many legal people working for your business, then you need to downsize. And you need to downsize until you can afford to hire fairly the appropriate amount of workers, and then you can start improving and upscaling.
Okay. So again, like I said, I just want to come back to you in 4 years if everything goes as planned. With California already has farmers that said if they don't get workers back into their areas, you can expect higher grocery prices, and that's in California. I can't speak for other states because I don't live there. That's just something that the farmers was on the news saying. That's the only reason I'm speaking
But what do
today.
you think about a solution though? Why
Okay,
don't you
hold
just
on. Let's.
downsize?
I want to get to some of the speakers who haven't spoken yet, because we still got a lot of people who were requesting and everything. So thank you for that. But let me get you, Yana. I expanded the panel. I don't know if you guys can see, but the prompt says for the people who are coming in, the prompt says, I'm trying to change it, make it smaller. Says mass deportation is not an Black American issue. It's not a Black American issue. So that's what the prompt says, but you can't see it. FBA right there, too. Yana, you get to go ahead because you had something to say earlier.
Yeah, so as far as the question, like when I first came in, I don't feel like it's our problem. Like I don't feel like I need to step in and speak for anyone or say, hey, we need these people to stay. I don't feel like that. I feel like, yes, there's a way to go about things. Yes, you do have to go the right way about coming into another country. And just to piggyback on, I think his name is David or David. Sorry if I butchered that, but
David, that's all right.
David, okay. When I first came in here, he was like, a lot of his supervisors spoke Spanish, they didn't speak English. And I felt that, like, I understood that. I understood where you were coming from. Because when we came here, well, when we were brought here, we lost our language, but it's wild that they continue to use their language and then we have to adapt to their language. We have to be the ones to take a class and learn how to speak their language when nobody was, wanting to teach that in our high schools, our native tongue. And so a lot of that got lost. But I don't think that that is our concern, that we need to fight their battles or anything like that. So that was just my take on that question. So
Yep. Now we got a lot of people who want to come up. So if anybody is on the panel now and doesn't have anything else to add, then I'm gonna ask you to step down, or otherwise I'm gonna have to start cycling people through because I do want to get more people up. Marry me, you get to go ahead. Um,
Um, I was
if y'all
just
don't if y'all don't
listening.
step down, I'm gonna have to just drop people, and I don't want to do that. So if y'all can just step down, but marry me, go ahead.
Host, before you let
Yeah,
it go,
I was.
I'll cycle out for you real quick. Let me just give a conclusion if you don't mind.
All right.
I heard what the young lady said about it not being, her problem, but I don't think it's a us versus them issue. I think on a humanitarian level, we could all agree that having someone work for pretty much a slave wage just because they have no choice and that's the only way they can survive in our country illegally, it's just wrong. And if we care about humanity, we have to say we got to stop this cycle of just taking advantage of other humans, period. With that, Thank you, host, for having me up, and I land. I'll see y'all later.
All right. Thank you. All right. Marry me, you got it.
Yeah, I was just listening in for a few minutes. I agree with you said. I agree what Josh said about what's going on here, and I really disagree on when people say, oh, well, there would not be anybody here to work those jobs. And I agree with you when you said that they have to raise the minimum wages and people would work those jobs, you know. And I think that the illegals are working those jobs because they're working to stay here, you know, illegal, you know, because all I keep hearing is that, oh, the illegals. And we all know that Trump said that if you're legal, we all know if you're legal, then this doesn't apply to you. But if you're illegal, then this applied to you. You know, we can't go in any other country and break laws. And I don't see why people, American people, defend illegal so much, and I think that is a traitor. You know, when you sit here and you an American person and you sit up here and you fight so hard for someone that broke in your house and say, you know what, I'm gonna stay here, and then they have the audacity to have so much entitlement when they come here, you know, and then when they do come here, they don't like, you know, the people that actually live and built in blood, sweat, and tears on this soil. So when they do come, they jump in ahead of the line in front of other people that is waiting on their green cards to stay here. And I just think it's so wrong. And I don't feel no type of way of what they're doing right now. I think they should take care of humanity, but humanity that goes by law, you know. And I served 8 years in the military, you know, in the Air Force. So I'm pretty stern, you know, on a lot of things. I'm like a tomboy girl all my life, but I'm a woman at the same time, you know. And rules are rules and laws are laws, you know. And those are things that, you know, in the military that I had to learn, and, you know, boots on the ground and things like that, real stern things that people just don't get, you know. So I do totally agree with you and Josh on what you're saying, but I didn't agree with that lady that was up there too, because I feel like she was gaslighting, you know, with the backpedaling and things like that. She was straddling the fence on things she was saying. So I disagree with her, you know, wholeheartedly. But you can let somebody else speak. But I just want to say, keep doing a great job. Keep calling people out, you know, because it's a shame that we even have to have like a debate about, you know, some illegal people when we can't go break laws nowhere else, you know. Because you know, when Brittany Griner went somewhere else over there in Russia, they had her locked up because she had, you know, did what she did, you know.
Yeah.
So we can't go anywhere else and break laws because they'll have a heavy hand on us, you know. So it is what it is. And I agree with Trump, you know. I do agree with him. You know, somebody need to step in and take care of this issue here that we do have.
Oh yeah, this problem's gotten out of hand. Thank you.
It
I'm gonna drop
has.
you down. I'm gonna let other people. Let me see. Miss Soft Life, do you have anything else to say? I know you've been here for a little bit.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna drop
Can
you down
I?
so I can free up this
Okay.
spot. All right, appreciate you. Uh, I will go with Ari. Ari, you get to go, and then we'll have David go.
How you doing, Afro? This is Avery Chris. I'm from Chicago, everyone. How you doing? Um, I was listening in, and I want to give something from my perspective. I've been working since I was 14 years old, and starting off at $5.15 an hour, and now I'm up, a good amount. I don't want to say. I've worked in every field out there, which is warehousing, retail. I even clean toilets. So for people to come on here and say, who's going to pick this, or you're not going to do this, or you're not going to do that. If I was to lose my good paying job today, I would go back and scrub toilets because that's where I came from. So it's not nothing in this world that we can't do or that we won't do. And like you say, we're going to do it for a fair wage. Living here in Chicago, rent for a 2-bedroom now is going for over $1,500. Some people have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to live. So I don't understand why they would say that they work harder or this and that. That's not even the case. They know that they can get over on them. Even at my job now where I'm at, they work for them. We supposed to get paid a good amount of money, but they'll go and tell them, I want $150 a week from you out of your check for you to stay working. And then the American citizens that's supposed to be working, they ain't gonna get that job. They're gonna say, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work, give them lesser hours and this and that. That's how they get over on it. So it's not about people from other countries working harder or being better at the job. It's that they can get over on them, and then they too afraid to say anything because they can be deported or they can lose their job and have to go somewhere else. We are amazing people, very amazing. And do I see mass deportation? I do. I have no problem with it. And I'm not stepping up for nobody. I'm only stepping up for my people and my community, because for far too long, we've always been there to help everybody else. And people always say, oh, you're militant, you're this and you're that. No, we're not militant. We're passionate, because that's ingrained into us as a people. Do I love everybody? I love who loves me and my people. I don't have nothing against nobody and their ethnicity or anything like that. But we don't get the same treatment the same way that we put it out. If you was to come from another country, we're going to welcome you into our community. We're not going to bother you. If I was to go into a Hispanic community and I have 2 young black boys, I'm afraid for my young black boys inside that community because they are a threat. Okay? So guess what? I'm speaking from the heart, and I'm speaking for the truth, because this is my truth. This is what I've seen in my eyes on my years on this earth. So regardless of what anybody says, even if you should go right there on Division and Costner, if a black person try to open up a barbecue stand on the corner, the police will come and shut them down. But you go a block over and they got elotes and they selling their stuff, and we ask the police, why you ain't saying nothing to them? They'll tell us to mind our business. That's how it is over in our community.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
That's facts.
Hey, that's what it is. It's only the truth.
I was
But
raised.
people
I'm
don't.
born and raised in
Excuse
Brooklyn,
me,
New York.
Miss Ortiz.
Hold on. Let her go. Let her finish. Because we got
like Miss Detroit said earlier, we had our own doctor's office, our own stores inside of our community. We had a laundromat on a block that was there for over 30 years. I remember going there from kindergarten all the way up until I was 26 years old. Right now it's Hispanic. You go in there and you ask them, hey, can I get a job here folding clothes? They'll ask you, are you bilingual? If you're not, you can't work here. I'm only speaking the truth. And that's why I love TikTok, because you get in the raw truth from everybody all over. Not what they want to feed you on the news, on CNN and all this other crap. You getting it from the ground, from everybody that's out there. So I ain't afraid of nothing. I'ma speak up. I know when to speak and I know when to be quiet. But hey, it is what it is. If y'all gotta go, y'all gotta go. And yes, having illegal immigration is very harmful, and it's been very harmful to my group as a collective. I'm not talking about, I have certain people I know that's illegal that I've known for years. I have nothing against them, but they know the cost of being here and being illegal, and having if they get caught, they're going to go back. They know what the problems are. But I'm not here to say, oh, well, you know what? I like you, so you get to stay, but everybody else got to go. That's not how it works. I'm sorry it's happening to you, but you done had a good run, because I done known you since 2008. And if you ain't saved up all your money by now, so if something do happen to you, for you to go back and be prosperous in your own country, then that's a bag that you done fumbled.
Yeah, hey, that's a good point. Yep, that's actually a really good point.
And for what someone else said about not getting food stamps, that's a whole lie, because they be outside. They be a whole block wrapped around a corner. And I know for a fact all of them are illegal going up in there, because they talk about it and how good it is that they got it, that they can come here. And from their country, they can't even get this. I couldn't even get no help until my son was almost 11 years old from the state just to get $1 in food stamps, and I was only making $8 an hour. You make $2 over, and they ain't trying to help you with nothing. My job, I have to pay. I was making what, $17 an hour, maybe about 7 to 8 years ago. Out of that $17 an hour, I still had to pay $500 a month for health insurance. That's just for health insurance, not talking about child care and this and that. So we have to work for a fair wage just to live, just for the basic necessities in life. So when we have illegal immigrations coming over here and undercutting us, that kills us. So now we have to do 2 and 3 jobs.
Let's be
We
careful
can't
with
go to
the
football
K word.
games and
Let's
this
be
and that.
careful with the word K. You just said the K word. Let's be careful because TikTok.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You are right.
Can I chime in, please?
Hold on. I'm gonna let David go. David, do you have anything else to add? Because I gotta cycle you out soon. Because I got more people want to come up.
I was just gonna say the one of the I guess the good things about the supply and demand argument is if you actually pay Americans, especially Black Americans, a livable wage, then they actually have the cash flow to actually buy from some of the same businesses that say that they're gonna have to raise their prices. And another thing is it's gonna do two things. It's going to force Black Americans to kind of more rely on each other and family and kind of do how the illegal immigrants do, where they work these, jobs for low wages, they pull their resources together and they open businesses. If you go to certain parts of Chicago, you will see that they own laundromats,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh car insurance places, car dealerships. They own the goddamn grocery stores. They, the lawn service, everything like that. That's because they pulled their resources together with those low wages in order to open businesses.
Hmm.
And then another thing that's going to happen is it's going to force a lot of these companies to stop supplying so much, to stop, producing so much, so they don't actually have to raise their prices. So that, that argument could be dead end because if people aren't buying as much, then they have no reason to produce as much, then they have no reason to raise their price as much.
Hey, that's a good point. Supply and demand. If the demand goes down, then the supply don't need to be that high. That's a really good point. I appreciate you. I'm gonna cycle you out so I can have more people come up.
All
David,
right,
you
thanks,
got
man. Appreciate it.
thank you. David, you got it.
All right, so everyone can hear me good?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I want to start off with a couple things. I want to start with like my background. Obviously, I'm Chicano. I am an American citizen. My grandma, my grandpa, my family has been here for generations,
Okay, well, and I
essentially.
wouldn't even be at my normal weight then. Like I would
And
have to
Nikki, hold on.
lose
the
Nikki,
a
mute
hundred
yourself.
pounds to be back at my normal weight.
Okay, I'll just keep going. But no, like essentially what I'm saying is my people have been here forever. But the problem is with these mass deportations is historically they have deported people that are American citizens like myself just because the fact that we look brown. And that's something I kind of wanted to jump on this panel and kind of shed light to because that's one thing. And there has been historically mass deportations that have occurred in U.S. history. The first one is in the 1930s after the Dust Bowl. The other one was when they had the Prosetto program where they brought in migrant workers to do the work on the fields, and then they pushed them out in the 50s when they felt that they didn't need them anymore. Historically, America has always done that, brought in, it's been done with the Irish, the Italians, um, the Chinese, because that's when the Chinese Exclusion Act came in, and many other different aspects and facets of that. I can provide examples like that all day. But I
Okay.
wanted to kind of touch base on your guys' key argument, which is so you mentioned how if you pay better wages, you'd have people to do those jobs. Well, in Florida, they deported a mass amount of people, and then they said, hey, Americans, come work these fields, pay you $20 an hour. Well, what happened was they would hire the people, and this isn't to say that every American is like this, but they hired the ones that they hired would only last a couple days, maybe a little bit here and there, and then they would quit. And this is also coming from somebody who has worked farm fields. I personally haven't worked those big fields like you see in California, Florida, Georgia, and all those other places. But the way that I do have a lot of friends that have worked those fields, and the way they get paid is by the field, not by the hour. So you have to work to clear each field and make money off of that versus not. And the little bit of field work that I've done and farming and such, it's hard work. It's not easy. I mean, I'll be honest, like if someone offered me $20 an hour to go pick freaking potatoes and shit like that, I wouldn't do it. You'd have to pay me at least 35. And this is someone that's done that type of work. The other thing that I wanted to mention is when this type of rhetoric occurs with Hispanics just in general, you keep in mind, and I need you guys to keep this in mind, and this is coming from my perspective, my experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you are an American citizen and you tell them, hey, they talk to you in Spanish intentionally to see if you'll respond to them in Spanish. And it sucks because I've spoken Spanish my whole life and I've grown up here, I've lived here. This is where my family has always been, but we're treated like we're the problem, and because they don't see the difference. They don't see the difference. And that's something that I kind of wanted to point out, is that they don't see the difference if you are American or if you're illegal. They just see that you're brown, and then they try to arrest you, detain you, and everything else. The other thing I wanted to mention is there have been people deported, Americans that have been deported through those mass deportations in the past. And there's actually one that was an American citizen that was in the military that was detained for 3 days because of they didn't believe he was an American citizen. He had his military records and everything. So that's kind of the issue and what I kind of wanted to bring up. I know that's not exactly what the topic is, but I just wanted to shed light and bring a different perspective to it.
Okay. Well, I mean, and again, with the whole thing with the jobs, I know black farmers. Let me ask you guys this question. I know black farmers. Black farmers struggle more than any other farmers by far. There is no comparison. Black farmers don't get the loans. Black farmers don't get the grants. Black farmers don't get the assistance. Black farmers get sabotaged, get sold fake seeds and plants all the time, and they find a way to make it through. And they don't use any illegal labor either, because if they did, they would be arrested for it. So you can't tell me that the black farmers who go through way more than any other farmers and they can still find a way to survive, still find a way to make a profit, still find a way to keep their head above water, you can't tell me that they can do it. But the white farmers, the ones who are using illegal labor, the ones who get all the assistance, all the government grants, all the government loans and everything like that, they absolutely need illegal labor in order to keep their farms operating. That doesn't make any sense, because if farming was so difficult, the black farmers wouldn't be able to do it. Because you all make the argument that farming is just apparently the most difficult, strenuous job in the world, and you need illegal labor in order for you to operate a farm.
That's
But you
not what I
have
said.
tons of farms who don't have nearly as much resources and assistance that keep afloat without any illegal labor. So let's be honest with this conversation.
May I respond to that?
You get 20 seconds, and then we'll go to the another person.
So, where some of the things that you're mentioning is actually a broader issue of inequity in the entire society of people not getting the food stamps that they should get and not getting paid a livable wage. But also at the same time, is Trump going to advocate for those policies? Because I haven't heard a single Republican say that they want to increase the minimum wage.
Okay. Here's the thing. You don't have to pay somebody minimum wage. You know you can pay somebody more than minimum wage, right?
I'm well aware of that. I've been paid more than minimum wage, and then our
Yeah.
state
All
has increased minimum wage.
companies get to set their price. Minimum wage is just there to say you cannot legally go under this amount. That's what minimum wage is. There's no price ceiling that the federal government has in force of companies. Okay. So if a company is paying at minimum wage, that's because that's what the company wants to pay. The company can always go up. But and that's kind of like off track of what the subject is a little bit, if we're going to be very honest. So we're going to get to another person. Ted, how do you pronounce your name?
Taina.
Tina. I couldn't see it. Tina.
Yeah. So my point is,
I'm sorry, Ari. I'm gonna let you down so I can get other people up. I'm gonna let you down. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you. But Tina, you can go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in and say, like, I completely disagree that this immigration issue is not a Black American issue. I feel like historically, once they come after us, they definitely coming after y'all next.
Oh.
That's just historic, because the takeover of this land started with the indigenous people. And those indigenous people got pushed down to South America. So they're just trying to make their way back up.
Man, come on now. You gotta do better than that. I'm sorry. You gonna have to. You almost making me laugh, man. Come on now. Now you say it's gonna happen to us. What's gonna happen to us? We're gonna get deported.
They're not just switching things on illegal immigrants. I voted for Trump. Don't get me wrong. I love his policies, and I do see an issue with the illegal criminals that came into the United States and were committing heinous crimes. I don't have an issue with them sending them with ICE coming after them. But when you're coming after people who've been in this country 20, 30 years, and now you're coming after the kids who were born here, and you're saying that they don't have a right to stay, they don't know no other country. Where are you going to send them to? You're going to send them to Mexico? Some of them don't even speak, they don't speak Spanish. They've never been to Mexico.
Okay, and yeah,
we're United States citizens.
To be fair, there's a lot of kids who didn't speak English. And their parents, hey, hold on, hold on. You got to mute yourself. George. There's a lot of children who didn't speak any English, and their parents still brought them to America. So, and they ain't never been to America either. So, I mean, if we're gonna use that argument, you can use it both ways.
And if you use the argument that they're getting food stamps and all of that, it's true within the last 4 years. But how long has that been? Illegal immigrants weren't getting food stamps for decades. It's just been within this time.
Does it matter? Does it? If that's the case, does it matter?
How much taxes do they pay in? These people go to work. They pay the taxes still get taken off of their check.
Ma'am.
They pay so much into the economy, and they can't even go to a hospital for a cold.
Okay, now we're gonna be fair, because I don't want this to be a back and forth. There's people who've been patiently waiting. Chicago and New York would not be over $1 billion in debt if these people were such a benefit to the economy. Everybody keeps saying that, oh my God, they put into the economy and they're so beneficial to the economy, yet every city they're in is in major debt because of them. So, like, let's be honest. Chicago, and I'm literally there. I'm in City Hall talking to Brandon Johnson, talking to the alderman. Chicago is in debt because of their arrival. New York is in debt because of their arrival. And then when we get online, we hear that they're just this great big benefit to the economy. That does not make sense.
They have been a great benefit to the economy of the United States.
Why are these cities in debt then?
For decades. That's just now. That's because they were handing stuff out for free like crazy. I'm not saying that it was right. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden got beside themselves, and they got us into an issue. But now to say every last single illegal immigrant in this country and their children who've been here for way longer than that even presidential term should go back is insane.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's your opinion.
It's insane.
No,
these are Black and Hispanics have been sharing the same neighborhoods forever,
and that's a problem.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I've had Black, Spanish, every kind of neighbor. We've never had an issue coexisting together. The only enemy here is white people.
We have, girl. And I'm from Chicago. Yes, we have.
I mean, Chicago in here deep. I love it. Okay,
Well,
Chicago's in here deep.
I can't
I'm gonna
speak
have
for
to.
Chicago, but I'm gonna
I'm
tell
gonna
you,
let you
New
land.
York,
I'm gonna let you land. Then I'm gonna
New
get to
York,
T.
we love everybody. We love each other. We got babies together. We go to school together. We work together. We ain't got issues with each other. I don't know what's going on over
Yeah,
there.
but Hispanics don't shop at black businesses.
I
That's one
do.
thing y'all ain't gonna say. Yeah,
Oh,
y'all
I
work,
do.
y'all go to school, and y'all get in relationships, but Hispanics ain't gonna put their dollars in black-owned businesses. That's something that they'll never admit to. They'll never do that. David, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna have other people come up. Thank you for joining us. T Queen, you got it.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago. Thank you for letting me up and speak. Um, I just want to speak on Chicago behalf because these immigrants, they are so entitled. Like, what happened to the outcry for the homeless and the drug addicts that is on the streets of Chicago?
You can't
Why is
you can't
nobody
say that
fighting for them?
you can't
It's a
say the
lot of
D
them.
or you can't say that word on TikTok for whatever reason. You can't say that.
What I
I know
say?
what you mean. Say substance, like something like that. Substitute it.
Oh, okay, okay. Like,
It's a lot of them.
I'm just
Hold on,
really
Scott.
upset at the fact that this is even a conversation that we having about illegal, and I'm gonna say it, illegal immigrants that is in our country. Taking up all the resources that could be for homeless all across the U.S. It's not just Chicago. It's California. It's New York. It's all over. It's happening. And it's sad that we are fighting for illegals to be in this country when we're not fighting for our own people that is homeless, been homeless without jobs, been begging for jobs. These homeless, come on, listen. Black Americans don't choose to just wake up and say, I'm gonna be homeless. I just want to be homeless today. That's not how we think. We've been fighting for so long. A lot of our people are mentally tired. We are mentally tired and worn out. I want to make a point too about illegal immigrants working at farms and working on construction sites for less. The reason why y'all work for less is because, first of all, yes, y'all are illegal. Second, y'all work in y'all family. Y'all live together. Black Americans, even though we have to work on coming together more. We don't live it's not 10 of us packed in a house. We have to pay our own rent. It's coming out of our own pocket. When you illegal immigrants are together, you guys share the rent together. So it's not, you guys are not hurt by this. We are. I live in my own crib. You know what I'm saying? So I work a nice job, a good paying job that I've been working for 3 years, a FBA, lazy where? I got family that work and get up work every single day, lazy where? Then you guys talk about the indigenous people. We are the indigenous people.
So are we.
You indigenous to your land. This is our land. And don't come over here talking about so we need to stand with you guys and fight. What happened about where was the outcry when when Biden was bringing all these people over here? Where was all of these TikToks talking about, dang, where's all these immigrants coming from? And then you guys crying when you get over here and want us to feel sorry. Like, sorry for what? It's time for y'all to go. We're not against legal immigrants. We're against illegal immigrants that are living here free off the backs of taxpayers' money.
Well, let's be honest, they wouldn't be here if the America wouldn't be destroying their economies and destroying their
Okay, here's the
country
thing.
and
You're not
stealing
gonna
their
interrupt.
resources.
You're not gonna interrupt. And here's one thing I gotta say. A lot of y'all blame, and I'm not going to excuse any fault at all on what America has done to other nations. I'm not going to give America a pass. I think America goes out of their way to sabotage and mess up other nations, and they shouldn't. America needs to mind American business. I am 100% for that. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to give fleers a pass. A lot of that is because y'all governments are corrupt, have been corrupt, and would be corrupt even if America wasn't involved. That's the people who are in charge of y'all countries. And the citizens, instead of fighting that government, they flee that government. We as foundational Black Americans, we didn't make an excuse and say American government is bad. We know about bad government, so y'all not gonna be able to sell our government is bad, because our government has been bad, has been worse to us than has been to y'all, and we stayed and we changed it to the degree that we have. We're still working on changing it fully, but we've stayed and we fought against how our government was treating us. You got other people who want to leave their country and use a bad government as an excuse. Oh, that's not going to pass with us. That's not going to pass with us.
I agree. Like that's not an excuse no more to come over here. And then it's the thing is, you guys want black people to fight for you. When you come over here and you overload our system, do you guys not know that you're not hurting the white people here? You hurting FBAs. This is why you see a lot of FBAs not working, because these corporate companies are firing FBAs because we know our rights. We know that we know our rights. We know the value of our dollar. We know that you cannot just tell me what to do and give me three different things to do on a job when I was hired to do one thing. They do that to you guys. They can't do that to us. So when they say, "Oh, we let these illegal immigrants and we can pay them anything and we can use them for you basically slavery," you know, so you're getting paid nothing, and you're okay with it because in your country you were getting paid nothing. So coming over here, you're already getting Medicaid and EBT free while working a job. We don't do that. Another point. SSI. You have our elders get this, our elders are having to go back to work. They should be retired, sitting their behinds down somewhere. They have to get up and go to work to pay rent. My auntie, she's too dang on old. She only get $12 in EBT. $12 in Chicago.
Well, I'm gonna
So
let
y'all
you.
don't hear the cries of Chicago's, the real Chicago's, not the ones on the news that's lying and say, "Oh, it's okay. We for everybody." No, we ain't. Cause they know everybody ain't for us. We don't have allies in this. Nope. We done seen how everybody that came up against FBA. Everybody had something to say about FBA, but every time it's something that it's a problem. Oh, black people need to stand up and fight with us because you know it's gonna be on y'all next. It's been on us for years. We've been carrying the torch for years, and we still carrying the torch, but we need to carry the torch for ourselves now. And that's all we saying. FBA is not in this. We in it for ourselves. We're gonna be selfish, and it's nothing wrong with being selfish.
Now, I fully agree. It's time for us to practice group economics and nation building. Now, let me get you, because there's a lot of people who want to come up. So I'm gonna get you. What is your name? I can't see because of your font. What's that? Not Scott. Who's the at the bottom left? Monique, or at the bottom right on my screen. Okay, you got it, Monique. What do you have to say about it? After Monique, we'll go up. We'll get to Mel and then Salvi.
Mel was here before me. Do you want her to go first?
Okay, fine. Mel, you can go. For the people in the chat room asking, FBA is an acronym that stands for Foundational Black American.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, grace and peace, family. Shout out to you, Afro Elite, for this very powerful, very impactful conversation. The dialogue needs to happen, and thank God for TikTok where we can be free, right? Mm-hmm. I want to also say to, I think her name is T Quinn, I appreciate your passion in bringing in the senior community, because as someone who lived in Chicago for several years, went to Northwestern, now I live in California, our seniors are really on the streets, literally on the streets. Now, am I blaming all of that on immigration? Absolutely not. But I think that they have to be brought into the discussion. Now, one of the things that came to mind for me is, a lot of people don't know this, but one of the largest deportations that we've ever had in the past 20 years was under the presidency of Barack Obama. Now, the only difference is that Barack Obama has excellent public relations. So he says that he values all peoples. He constantly, and no disrespect when I say this, he constantly marched out the dreamers. He was constantly having the dreamers on the front row. His public relations was exceptional. However, he deported more people than almost any other president. I'm just going to say the past 20 years, you guys go home and do your research. So you have to ask yourself, we have a Democrat sitting president and a Republican sitting president basically doing the same thing. One has different PR than the other, and they're both doing it for economics. I'm not saying you need to agree with it. I'm saying you may want to research it. Secondly, I want to say to the gentlemen who were here before talking about they were movers and that they did labor, I just feel like we need to encourage our individuals who are actually still doing the physical labor. We need to start honoring men and women. We need to start honoring men who show up on jobs, who get the insurance, who are still moving the trucks, moving the products, moving the necessary essentials during COVID, actually getting in the trucks and moving food to our house, including the Amazon people. I had an Amazon person drop off multiple huge packages at my front door in the rain. And so I felt like I need to mention that because we had a lady on here who was a farmer, bless her, peace and blessings to her. She mentioned she had some sort of company and a lot of people were leaving. And I felt like some of the rhetoric that she used probably unintentionally was a little bit distasteful because we have a lot of men and women out here who are willing to work and do exquisite jobs. Our entire economy works on individuals picking up boxes and moving them. Secondly, I want to shout out to the farmers, including the woman who is a small business owner. My family owns multiple companies and we are indigenous people as well as FBA. They're the same thing if you really get down to the root of it. We are just keepers of the land, so we're not farming necessarily to ship and process goods or anything like that, but we do help to feed the communities, little things like that. One of the things about farming is you have to be really close to your patterns. If you are a business owner and you have recycling patterns of one of the examples she mentioned, she said she had white men who worked for her. She said she had black men who worked for her. She said she had Haitian people who worked for her. And all of them walked off the job. As a small business owner, I have to take personal accountability. What is the common denominator here? It's not to say that capitalism is not real and the bottom line isn't real. I'm a business owner. I understand insurance. But sometimes as business owners, we have to take accountability. I am the common denominator. Another thing when it comes to farming in regions like California, where I am, or in Chicago, right? We got DeKalb. You guys know where the areas are. We got DeKalb out there, the cornfields. In Mississippi, some of these areas have really harsh conditions. So when you start talking about 8 hours, $250, what are the breaks looking like? I'm someone who works in wellness. I'm actually a counselor now, but I've worked in other industries. What are the breaks like? When you're talking about California, it's mainly desert state. We just had wildfires. I've been helping families who've been displaced out here. We're coming together as communities, FBA, whites, Asians, everybody in between. We're coming together. Thank God for America. But what are the breaks like? We're talking about weather conditions that are so hot, we have wildfires. So when you say 8 hours for $250, is there hydration? Is there shade? Some of these particular farming conditions are lethal. Okay, now this is my last point, then I'm going to sit down. Farming is an exquisite business and it is essential. Our farmers also get a lot of pressure, and we have a lot of our industries going overseas when it comes to food. Our farmers are having to basically compete against China. So I also want to say I understand the bottom line because we genuinely need to keep our food here. We need food here. So if that woman was a farmer, we actually need her farm here. If you don't have a go bag and you don't have 3 months of rations, I want to encourage you to do so. Because if China cuts us off, all we're going to have is each other. I thank God for all of you here today. This is a powerful discussion. Afro Elite, keep doing your thing, honey. Keep doing your thing.
I wanted to add rebuttal, just one thing. Obama, I just looked up